Today is September 1, 2004. This is a meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
Hi, where's Pat? I was
waiting for Neva to walk through.
There's only one item on the consent agenda. Would you like to do it after Dave?
Why don't we go ahead and move Dave up then?
Yeah.
Pat's not in here. Go ahead, Dave. Come on up.
She'll she's been booted ahead.
We're going to wait to do the consent agenda until after.
Let's see here.
I read lots of stuff about RSNs and the Legislative Steering Committee.
Yes, Jean's been working on a lot of that. She's doing, I think, a good job of some of those summaries. And this is the first item on the agenda, and I'll explain what we're trying to do here. The top page is a little information about the background. The second page is a letter that our board has put together, and this is really coming at the behest of Ray Thayer, Klickitat County, and he is one of the commissioners that sits on the board probably about half the time. And then he has a stand-in, Rick Weaver from Comprehensive, who's their contractor who sits in for him the other half. And Ray has watched the RSN struggle with getting people into Eastern State Hospital for a long time, as long as I've been briefing you guys on the issues we've been facing. And not to speak for him, but and you certainly feel free to give him a call, but he was wondering if the Spokane County Commissioners themselves are aware of the issues that other counties are facing in eastern Washington, but we're concerned about our 11 counties. And so he requested that the board put together a letter to be signed by the commissioners from all 11 counties that would cause a meeting to happen among those who would be interested. That setup has not been created yet about who would attend or speak, that type of thing. I believe it's the fall conference in Spokane. And his feeling was that it would be great if we could do two things: take the opportunity when there's already a meeting scheduled, plus meet them on their home ground, if you will. And I don't know that there's anything great that is going to come of this. I think he just wanted to know that the commissioners understood the issues from a commissioner to commissioner point of view, if you will. And so basically I'm following through on our direction from the board, if you will, as a board member and your representative, to bring these to you. The last page is a draft signature page, and what we've been instructed to do is to ask counties to put the signature page together on their own county letterhead. So normally I do things by Benton and Franklin, but this time I'm just splitting it for simplicity's sake. And that's why I've listed this kind of as an action item, if you will. I'm not sure if you need a resolution or a motion. That would be what your process might be if you're interested. I do have a sample that I can leave that just has these where you could copy it to a letterhead.
Yes, we go for
I would be very much in favor of this.
letter, yes.
However, I don't know how much you're going to get from Spokane commissioners, but
We don't know either.
Knowing the commissioners.
We've tried everything in the world, and
well,
this is
it
one
sure
more try.
doesn't hurt to try.
What was your statement, Sue? I missed. You said you didn't know what?
I don't know how much you would get from the Spokane County commissioners because they've not ever seemed to be very. Never mind. It's good to try and see what. They're just wanting to write a letter. All the commissioners to write a letter or sign on to a letter asking them if they realize that
Yeah.
they're utilizing their
That their
beds.
RSN is using too many beds.
And Neva, this is really something that Ray Thayer asked the board to do, and he was interested in going from commissioner to commissioner, if you will. And so he's asking us to approach all of our member governments and get all 11 counties commissioners signed on board. And you're right, Sue. I mean, we've had conversations with them. The other RSNs have. The state has had conversations.
Why isn't there some sort of a thing that limits a county or a RSN from doing that?
Well, if you recall, the way the state deals with it is they penalize people for overutilizing.
Oh,
But it penalizes our whole RSN.
No,
No.
Spokane's been paying the penalty, and some of the other
but it's
small
worth
RSNs
it to
are
them to
over.
pay the penalty, apparently.
Well, I mean, the penalties are thousands and thousands. I mean, they're hundreds
Oh,
of
maybe
thousands
they
of
don't
dollars
know.
by now.
You're fairly sure they are. The commissioners are aware of
I have
it.
no idea what the
Oh,
commissioners
because you
know.
said they talked to them or everything. so-
Well, my comments were people have worked with the Spokane RSN.
Well, perhaps they're not aware. of it.
And, well, I have to believe that they are because some of these issues have been very hot in Spokane. There's a lot of politics between the RSN and their mental health system up there, and they're not positive in the past. I don't know where they are now. So I'm sure they're aware of things. They're building a fairly huge triage center. They've used Yakima as the model and others. I don't know that they're copying Yakima. I don't think they are. I think they're doing something quite different. But they've been trying. It's just nothing seems to work. So I don't know the receptivity either. I'm not particularly optimistic, but
you know, you
it's
don't know
worth
if
a
you don't
chance.
try.
Yeah. So, but I don't think that there's ever been a commissioner level conversation about this. I know that one of the things I would expect we'll be talking about is how are we going to put this meeting together and who would be attending and how are we going to brief folks so that they can represent the issues. So that's to come.
What would come out of the meeting? Dave?
To get
Well-
them not to use the overuse the beds.
That would be my goal, that they live within their assigned IRC at Eastern State Hospital. Now, they probably on their side of the coin will have all kinds of rationales and logics about why they need the beds and why they didn't get an appropriate number to start with. And one of the things I've heard in the past is they point to the fact that they overutilize as the reason they need them. Well, if
Well,
that was
then we could all, if we could afford the penalty.
if we could all overutilize everything and that was proof we needed it, that's fine, but that's not the case. I mean, this RSN used to overutilize its bed and it turned itself around by doing some pretty significant things that were not easy to do. And we're continuing to do them. Some of us have felt that penalties would cause Spokane to change its ways, but that's not proven to be the
Yeah.
case.
Would you want a motion on that, or what do you?
Sure.
I move the approval of sending a letter to Spokane County Commissioners regarding the overusage of beds at Eastern State Hospital by the Spokane RSN.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
And I might add to that we're probably going to be, that letter would probably ask for a meeting with them, is that right?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. We'll ask for a meeting with the Spokane Commissioners at the fall Wasatch Convention. Wasatch,
Okay,
Waco.
all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Well, let me ask you this, Dave.
Yeah.
You know, when I ask you what would come out of this, I'm going to say to make them use just what they have, but what lever is involved here to make them follow the guidelines?
The only lever so far has been the state's contract language where they penalize them, and that hasn't been sufficient. If there's another lever, I'm either not aware of it or I'm not recalling it.
Could the commissioners order the RSN to not do that? I didn't think that there was that kind of
I don't know that.
I
really
didn't
don't.
think that was the kind of setup that we have, you know.
The RSN is a county organization. It's under the county structure. It's not a separate entity. It's a single county RSN.
And
I
if they're
have to
getting,
believe that the county has a lot of sway
if they're getting the money like we don't provide money for you, and so for the RSN, then they could possibly say, we've got the money on our own, county, what's your problem? We're not impacting your budget. Be possible.
They get their money the same way we do from their contract. They essentially have a very similar contract. I don't know how much sway the county has, but like I say, it's not a separate organization. It is a county organization. So I think the county is probably at the top of the hierarchy chart in some way. I'm just not aware of their organizational chart.
And if there was not enough pressure from Spokane or something, Spokane commissioners, for them to drop this count down to where it's supposed to be, I wonder if there's been discussion, or maybe there should be discussion on urging the state to penalize people higher?
Actually, that has happened. Vic, when he was with us, became aware that the state had not enacted their penalty for a number of months against Spokane, and he urged them to do that. And, I mean, they finally did. But like I say, penalties don't seem to cause them to change. But they may say that they're trying to change things, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's worth.
I think it's an attempt by Ray Thayer to make sure the commissioners up there actually know what's going on and the impact of other RSNs. Beyond that, I don't know what was.
Sure. It's an attempt to communicate, all of us to communicate about the problem.
Would you like me to leave this signature page?
I've already worked on it, but I'm not done yet.
Okay.
As a board, would you rather sign it? What they're asking is that you sign just a page.
To add on to,
letterhead,
to just send in that
rather
says.
than like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that should be fine, because we have to approve of the letter
We'll
first.
get it ready.
Okay.
Sent to you.
Okay, right.
That's kind of dangerous, isn't it? Just
Well,
Yeah, but we have to have some trust here somewhere, Fred.
I don't know. That kind of shit
That's right, you
to
mean
me.
it might, actually, the actual letter might be.
He's right.
Putting Dave at the top, over the governor or something.
What I'm handing out is the audit from Operations and Review that came in, and this was the third of our Operations and Review audits. This one we did have a citation on. It was, there was a sentence in the last the contract that was monitored that said we would monitor the entire contract, and there's some 75 provisions in the contract. We have, in the past, following the state monitoring protocol, monitored certain sections of our contract, and then the following year we would check the resolutions, and then monitor another section. Diana attended some training about a year and a half ago, at which point the message was clear that the state was going to be looking at grant managing agencies, if you will, like ours, and they were going to be reviewing how we actually monitor the contracts, and they would be looking at the entire document. So we started changing our tools. The point that this monitoring was done, we did not have a tool that monitored all 70 provisions. Also, in the text of this, Ty Tinsley was very frank that the state itself cannot monitor 100% of their contracts. They also suggest that they are not sure that's such appropriate use of limited resource, in the sense that none of us have that kind of resource. So they talked about a risk management tool that would judge the relative risks of certain agencies and certain contracts and the provisions and essentially weigh them, and a policy to back that up. Now, we did not have either one of those. So we're taking their lead, and we're creating a policy and a risk assessment tool that we would use to assess agencies. As an example, when agencies had troubles in the past, they might merit more of our attention. If they're brand new and have not had experience in the area, they might merit more of our attention. If they're an experienced contractor and their audits have come up clean time after time, we might be able to focus on some more significant issues in the contract. We also do monitoring on an ongoing basis on service documents and billings that come in our office. Those were not part of our monitoring process formally, but it occurred to us those could and should be. So we're changing some of our internal workings, and our policy will also describe that information that comes in that's contract related and contract required on a monthly basis will be part of our monitoring, and the sufficiency or the lack of sufficiency of those documents will play a role in how we monitor them in our annual reviews. So they also, to be quite frank, were not, at least in my opinion, they were not really desirous of giving us this finding. They contacted the state and the RSN for guidance about, to simply say, is this what you really meant? They didn't get a response from either, and so they ended up needing to give us this finding. And he does say that in here. So basically, you have the entire document if you want to look at it. On page 6, it talks about recommendations, and these are kind of where it says design a monitoring process to include a plan, a policy, a plan, and risk assessments, and then it goes on to talk about this. And then on the last page is our response that's attached. And so we fully agree with the finding and the recommendations that are implemented. So actually, even though it's a finding and a citation, and that's not something that commonly happens with us, I think it was a positive thing. We're also moving this into our up to other contract areas that did not get the same level of review in the OR monitoring that the mental health one did. They had a different team and more people.
Page
Pardon?
4. Mine's missing page 4. Is everybody?
Is it? It's a. Oh, I'll go talk to Carol. We'll make
Yeah,
a complete.
mine is too.
Do you want page 4 sent, or do you want whole new sets?
So I was just curious. I was going to finding the recommendations. And it's not-
I didn't see it was even missing.
We can make copies of that.
Would you have a
You have
4?
4? Yeah, page
Do you have a page 4? I don't.
I
either.
don't.
I'll take this back. Carol should be a little embarrassed.
Maybe we're all missing page 4. Oh, I'm missing page 4.
Just send
We'll
page
fax you
4.
page 4.
Yeah, we
okay.
don't need a whole
We'll do
one.
that. Thank you. Sorry about that. Must have been the worst page.
I'll just casually leave this out and see if anybody misses it.
I didn't bring my watch today, so how much time do I
You're
have?
probably getting pretty close because we didn't start him right at 9.
Okay. I'd like to jump on the agenda down to the bottom item.
Oh, no,
pick
I'm
up-
sorry. Never mind. You started a little early and you're not through your full time yet, so I
Okay.
was- sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Wasn't important enough to talk about.
I don't have my book. Where my book is.
You have a book? Could you find your book?
It's the left,
Huh?
left of that pile that you got that out of.
Oh, there's a book over there.
Oh.
This is a follow-up on our request for office relocation. And the last time we met, I had talked about not being able to get certain lines in Franklin County. And I went, and when you folks talked with me about and questioned that, what I found out was Diana and I had misunderstood our MIS manager's issues around moving to a different phone company. And so essentially what Diana and I had done by error is kind of misstate the problem that our department was facing. And we have given you an updated description on page 2, the first large paragraph. If you'd like to take a moment and just review that.
Well, but I think in the end, we kind of concluded that you needed to be close to the crisis response.
Well, that's one of the issues for me managing the crisis in our
And so-
department.
So we kind of just, in my perspective, I just wanted to clarify that
Okay.
with you. I wasn't criticizing, but I just was sure that we did have
Well,
the
We did provide the
capabilities.
servers, and we did check here, and they said that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but after talking to you about it, you were indicating that you needed to be close to
Well,
your existing facility.
That is true, but I did want to come back and reframe the issue for us
Sure.
in regards to our MIS system and our connectivity. So it wasn't that we couldn't get the lines; it was the issue around downtime, the mail address for the security systems and the firewalls, and try in a sense of not being able to have downtime during a move. We would essentially have to duplicate hardware to do that. And so this paragraph much more accurately describes the issue than Diana's first attempt, which was really misstating the problem.
Okay.
So, also in the meantime, I don't know if I'd had a chance to mention to you when I did present to Benton County, it was mentioned that they had some square footage on the third floor that was open. And although I had worked with Gary Ballou, that was not a particular site that he had mentioned to me as available. Commissioners mentioned it as available, and so I did meet with Gary. The third paragraph, or the second paragraph on that page, really does describe what's going on there. And the bottom line is we're able to locate sites in the community cheaper than what we'd be able to put it together in the county courthouse over there. Also, as an aside, Gary has said that other departments in the county are already looking at those and talking about wanting to move into them, although the commissioners are not supporting it. And I don't know what they're going to do with it, but when I sit and look at things, our department is probably more mobile than the clerk and the treasurer and others that are located in the county courthouse. And if we were to get in there and they needed space, compared to building, I think we would be the odd man out.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, though, the security issue for your department or accessibility would appear to me to be a problem in the Justice Center. Would it not?
You mean for clients?
Yes.
Well, it is, and we actually addressed that in the bottom of that paragraph, too. It occurred to me that one of the things that would happen, since we have night meetings, is the courthouse would not be willing to have our citizen advisory boards walking in and out without going through security, even if
that
it was
would
at
be
7 at night.
You'd lose your advisory board.
Well, the county would lose whatever security they're after by allowing people in without going through the metal detector.
Well, I don't think they would allow that, would they?
Well, our presumption is they would not, and that's what Gary
Yeah,
said.
because when we have evening meetings, they put us through that.
Well, we would have to pay that, and that's another cost to our department. And so I'm really trying to watch these costs that
Yeah.
are not straight.
Swearing in the judges, I went through that thing, and I always set them off, and I had to go back and do the WAN deal, and there have to be other people like myself that set those off.
Yeah.
Well, if you
We're
keep your
really-
pocket knife.
You can see what our recommendation is here. We have done some fiscal exploration with the county, and we can really come up with something at the same cost or cheaper.
Well, then have you got something in mind?
7302 West Deschutes.
What you talked about
You
before.
talked
Yeah.
about it previously.
Yeah.
on that,
Yeah.
So you're requesting approval to?
What I would be requesting is the ability from you folks to go ahead and pursue negotiations. Now, this would be contingent on me getting the same permission from Benton County, and I don't go in front of them until, I think it's a couple Mondays from now, the 13th at 10, I believe. I believe that's it.
Well, I think you have the consensus because you need to do something.
I think we'd given that previously.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I thought I was to check some things and come
I'll
back to you.
keep that real quiet, though, till you get the answer from Ben.
They might be.
Especially on the 13th of September.
Okay. How am I doing?
We're ju-
A few more minutes.
Well, actually not, because Pat's in here and prosecutor.
I got
comes at
people
10.
behind you.
Yeah, prosecutor's behind, so Dave, your time would be up.
Okay. Let me,
Well, 9:30.
Well, he started at 9, David. And
Okay.
we didn't have Pat, and Pat's
Oh,
got to
I
come in.
see, I
Pat's
see.
got to come in before the prosecutor.
okay, let's see. I think I can carry all of these items over to next month.
I think you should probably play catch up and see if you can't get an appointment with us to catch this up so you don't.
Oh,
Because
sometime-
I think you've done this a couple times. You've carried them over. And
Okay.
someday you're going to have as long a list of carryovers. I'm afraid.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll
Okay.
come back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, maybe come back on the 13th after you've met with Benton County to let us know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
I'll try that.
If that's workable.
Yeah,
I was
I'll,
just thinking.
I'll try scheduling that. Oh, actually, I can find out.
You're scheduling your meeting with him
Uh-huh.
Sneak in, Pat?
Yeah.
I just had a quick plat signature from the chairman.
I don't see his name anywhere.
I know.
I checked with Pat, she said I could sneak in.
Well, we'll have to talk to Pat about that. There are new merits to be given.
What is
Pardon?
Mo?
Excuse me. This is a short plat that was given preliminary approval for Violet Mabry.
Violent.
Violet?
Oh, violent.
Violet Mabry. And they've completed all the conditions of the preliminary approval and are seeking final approval and chairman's signature on the plat.
I move for final approval of short plat 2004-11 as specified.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Brenda Wall. Is she the septic?
We now have a new one. Kay Contrell, I think?
Is she nicer to work with?
Yes.
She cuter?
I've actually never met her. I've only
Oh,
spoken
all
to her on
right.
the
I
phone.
just wondered how you base you.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is 392 the,
Yes.
Hey, Fred, I did that for you.
good morning.
Crisis at the office, literally.
At your office?
Yeah, we have small crises.
Oh, we don't have those in Franklin County. Ever.
Never.
Okay, you want to change it, please?
Steve's here, and he's got his satchel.
Morning, Steve.
Saw a guy carry one of those. He was selling sausages.
Am I early?
No, you're
No.
right on time. We're just running
We're
just
just
a hair late
running.
here.
What did your doctor say about your hand?
Well, he said that it was a clean break for me to leave this on for 3 weeks. And I said, oh, you can't put a little splint on.
Did you say anything about laying off the sauce?
No, he didn't.
It's a bad time to fall, Neva. Anytime's a bad time to fall.
But he said that it was a nice clean break. I said, yeah, thanks a lot.
I'm very neat.
The other thing I have is, I don't know if the full board is interested in signing a letter to Doug McDonald, who's the secretary of the Transportation, Department of Transportation,
For what?
for identifying that it came to your attention that the Greyhound discontinued all bus
Oh,
service.
yes, on
yes.
behalf of
Yes.
Mr. Carter, you bet.
Yes.
You bet.
This is a
I
draft.
move for approval.
That's a
Second.
draft to see if you want it reworded.
All in favor?
Aye.
I see nothing wrong with that wording in there. Just make it applicable to
I
Franklin
cannot
County.
believe what they're doing to that man. I just don't understand it. Everybody else is cutting off transportation, and they're not allowing him to take it up, and he's got big buses and good service, and he's a nice guy.
Well, it gives them a chance to do something. There's not going to be service in that area, period.
And he can provide it.
Yeah. And if he can't, there's nothing lost because there's no service, period. Now. Or there won't be.
David, did you still want yours individually?
No, no, I just said, I didn't realize that everybody got one, so I said, do one individually and one with all three in case.
I think, all right.
So which commissioner did you get?
You want the truth?
No, I don't.
She was coming out of the hospitality tent. Does
She
that tell
fell
you
down at
anything?
the door.
She fell down right outside.
Well, David said that, I don't know, a couple of the secretaries saw me fall, and they said that I stumbled in a hole.
Where at?
It's the fairgrounds.
Oh, really?
Right in front of
As-
that climbing
as-
place, is that one?
Well,
So it's
but-
Benton County's fairgrounds, so you can sue them.
Yeah, Melina called or saw me yesterday.
What I think they said was
And you
that
were
she
on
was
the job,
stumbling-
so it's
she was
L&I,
stumbling
right?
up
Yeah,
the
she
wall.
said something about.
Did you make an L&I claim?
No, sloshed.
She was
Instead of
sloshing
stumbled.
up the wall or stumbling
She
up
was
the wall.
sloshed.
You
they
should have
said.
seen him trying to a glass like that. I didn't drink at all. I just drank a little bit.
Well, I have about a half hour. I don't know how much time I
Wow.
or more of
Wow.
litigation and claims update. How much time do I have?
About 11 minutes.
Okay, come on, we'll try
No,
to
you can
get all done in 11 minutes. An executive
Did
session.
you see this?
No.
Wish I've got it written on them, but that's okay.
Okay. The first claim is 2004-04 and 2004-05. They have a C in front of them. Louis Lobler and A. Joseph Roach. They're both claims regarding roadside spray. Again, my recommendation is that we tender that to the contractor. I'd ask for a motion to approve that tender.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next is claim C. If I'm going too fast, let me know. 2004-6. Mr. Sanders claiming a golf ball-sized rock struck the windshield of his pickup. Staff recommendation is to deny.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next claim is 2004-07. Mitchell Ray Johnson claiming a problem with the small bridge at the intersection of Vineyard Drive and Fall caused damage to his vehicle. Recommendation of staff is to pay the claim.
I move to approve.
And also the,
Including the $129 for the windshield.
Yeah.
yes, including the.
If you're going to make the motion, make it right. I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. I'm just in a hurry.
Yeah, I know.
Claim 2004-08, Stacy Taylor, loose gravel on the blade, kicked up, cracking the windshield. Staff recommendation is to deny the claim.
Sue makes that motion, I'll second it.
I move to deny.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, then I will, with what action, prepare. Do you prepare the resolutions, or do I on those? What do we do on those? You know?
I have not read it, but.
I'll see if Debbie, I'll talk to Debbie. We'll get it taken care of.
May I have one copy of that? Okay.
That's all I have. Out of session, we did want to give you an update. I have 5 applicants at this time. I'm going to do an interview panel. We'll be contacting individuals to be a part of the panel. Fred has volunteered. I would ask Fred or Tiffany or both to be a part of the panel.
Hey, are you going to interview all
Jared,
5?
yes, I'm going to go ahead and interview all 5. All 5 appear to meet the qualifications, and I'd like them to have a big pool to look at.
Good.
There are clearly 3 from my perspective that have very recent relevant experience. One worked for a county in Oregon. One worked for the AGs doing civil work. Another is a former employee of mine who has done some civil work and actually went and got his master's in personnel at Western, and in addition to his Juris Doctorate, does personnel work right now in private practice. Brian Verhoep is his name, and then 2 other local attorneys.
Well, good. It's nice to see you have some.
Yeah, I actually went out and 2 of the 3 that applied came out of the Seattle and Spokane ads, so it was worth the time to get some applicants on that. So I will contact Fred. You want Fred and Tiffany or both? What do you want?
I'd like to have Tiffany up there also.
Okay. Well, I also like to see Jared and Tim involved, so because that's obviously the three that we work with the most. So we'll contact hopefully the next couple weeks to get that completed. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Sam, you've already wasted some of your time.
I think our kids are back on schedule.
Pat?
I'll show you what I said.
See, I would get there by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I emailed her and I haven't heard back from her yet.
See, that's what I did this last trip.
Yeah, and that's what I told her, there's one leaving at 7:50, so.
Okay, well, I don't need that. I just wanted to, here, you want this book?
I move for approval of vouchers for County Road Fund, Motor Vehicle and Public Works Fund, Solid Waste Fund, Probation Work Crew as listed.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I got a grant that has to get done today. So. Yeah, there's no way.
Anyway, we had the birthday party, and I got my prescription for my sunglasses, and at Lens Crafters, and I didn't get a chance to get home and call you.
Oh,
Because I got them paid, but I didn't get,
you mean about that guy's name?
yeah.
Oh, I got it though. How'd I get it?
Well, I told Pat,
Oh, okay.
he was the fire chief at Fire 3, and Les Lichenberger or something like that. I've never been able to pronounce his last name.
We'll get over here. Give her a chance to talk.
Yeah. What's this for the crib?
Yeah, it's setting a public hearing on the final assessment roll for grade 18 for the 27th,
It's the 6th day of October?
27th or September.
Oh, wait a minute.
Does it say October?
It says 6th day of October. Oh, wait a minute. Am I doing something wrong? 6th day of October 2003.
That's when we signed the...
That's when you signed it. So, no, 20. Okay, I move approval of setting the final assessment hearing and order notice and publication for grid number 18, Self Landing Road, for 9:45 September 27th in our Commissioner's office at this annex.
And we,
Second motion.
we included the total cost, and if they don't like it, then they can protest it.
But
Actually,
I
they're
think
supposed
this-
to do it in writing before the hearing.
Yeah, I think this is good. Aye.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And we're picking up 25% of that we run too, so we're participating also.
You bet. Absolutely.
Is there only one copy?
There should be 4.
Oh, then there is more underneath.
Yeah, she's got 'em.
You want to hand me the stamper?
Can you stamp? Oh, you
Yeah,
still got a
she-
good
she
one.
is still
We didn't
They've got
break
a
the
good
right
one.
hand.
394. You bet.
Did you want to talk about our meeting at all today?
Yeah, I had it on mine, but yeah,
one sign spot there, Jim.
This is the front.
The rest is the
Back up.
assessment roll and the total cost breakdown.
is that your other?
Yeah. I didn't bring my proposal sheet in, but it really wasn't addressed, was it?
My insurance didn't pay very much of my doctor's bill for the,
It should, Neva. The insurance and Medicare should cover the whole thing.
See, I'm not on Medicare either.
Oh,
I
you-
guess I better get out there.
You
and
can do
go.
it, you can get on it. You have to pay that money, but that, Medicare is your
I
secondary.
do pay the money.
But there is one
There's two
automatic,
Medicares.
there are two deals. One you automatically deduct, and then the other you have to.
Commissioner all set and talking about their Medicare. We're a jolly group.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Tim and I met with the city council regarding Chilliwack Park the other day. And their approach to it was that they wanted to do a multi-year, that as annexation occurred, the percentages would go from 50-50, 60-40, and on until Franklin County was out of it.
Well, what do they think the percentage is now? It's about 90-10.
Of what they're talking percentage of the remainder that's out
They
there.
want, what they want to do is start with 100% right there.
Well, no, they were going to pick up 50%, start at 50,
They were going to start at 50.
Yeah.
They were gonna
and then
start-
as they annex the piece that's left out there, it would drop down from there. I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
when half of it's gone, they would take care of all of it.
And when they approved the boundary review board, they have not done that. Really, in that they have.
I'm not disagreeing.
They said they would. Absolutely, they have not done it.
Well, I made it very clear that we were not going to do a multi-year contract because we were
That's not the
in a
case.
position where we could not go anything fast next year. And with that pretty well ended the discussion, and they said, well, there's no sense in us even moving forward with it because, if we're not going to do this gradual changeover, we can't, there's not much sense in even getting involved with it for just that last year. So they withdrew their offer on that. And
Basically, it says there's no reason for them to offer a half next year when you're going to pay all of it and then get out of it. I mean, there's no long range.
they wanted to do a multi-year, and I said, we can't do that. We're not in a position to do it at this point. So that's where we left that side of it. They were interested in seeing that the commissioners would be interested in proposing to that part of the community out there in the county that they be transferred all into the city and
Would
just
support
make
annexation.
annexation happen all at once from Road 68 West. I kind of felt, I spoke and said, I don't believe the board would ever support that, but I would bring it and let you know in case
You
I
mean that they would
misspoke.
want us to approve it?
They would go through some kind of annexation and annex the whole thing that's left, and you guys would probably come out and support that.
Why would we do that?
Well, I told them I didn't believe that would happen, but I would talk to you about it so you were aware of it in case I did misspeak.
You have one no vote here.
I felt that was the way it
You
would
got
be.
3. For Pete's sake, what's...
Well,
What they're saying is they won't, if we don't go for multi-year, they won't.
I said
help us.
there would be one issue with that from my perspective. I did County Road, and they said, well, we can sit down and negotiate. a date.
But our kicker is, we need to send a letter right now.
yes, he said if
He said, go
that's
ahead.
the case, then just.
Pardon?
You guys can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let's send the letter right now, and next year, we're talking about 8 months.
So
Well,
then,
from now, yeah.
what we're doing is if we withdraw from the park, hand it over to the Corps, then the city could work with the Corps if they wish.
They could take it over.
Well, they can,
So
and
it's
what the
cheaper
city
for
ought to
them right there, isn't
consider,
it?
instead of going halvers on it next year, if we're not gonna go multi-year, they should say, hey, we'll take a third of it. Based on the time left in the year. If we would say we're just gonna budget in for 8 months.
Well, they weren't interested once we started.
If
If
they wanna
they
have-
pay a
Does that
third,
mean
they
the
want to
park-
manage it too, so
I don't know.
Does that mean the park could actually be closed then?
it could be.
Yeah, possibly.
Is there such thing as maybe having a park levy to support the park?
A maintenance levy?
They have, it's been
Yeah.
talked about.
What kind of amount would we have to put to the voters?
It'd be a very
Well,
small amount.
What we've asked, turned budgets in is, right about 200,000. 180, 190.
Well, puts a little leeway for improvements, but what I was thinking,
Then you can do what?
We'd
3-year
have a-
levy like the
we'd
schools
have-
do? Like
we'd
the schools
have
do?
8 months to, say,
It's going to close it.
we're going to turn it back to the court, possibly will be closed. Would you support a levy?
Well, if you're interested in doing
But
that.
I want to know how much we'd have to ask the
Yeah,
voters
before we
to
ask them to. Jim, wasn't there
get that amount of money.
Well, let's send a letter now. And so we have that
Yeah, that's
taken
for
care of.
improvements, though.
I don't disagree with you. If the people want the park here, offer them the opportunity of voting.
Would you like the letter to basically state to the core that if the levy.
We can always withdraw our letter.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have to
So
have
we
a
can
reason.
change
Well,
that.
and the letter is that we're pursuing other, alternatives, and that we keep comprised of any changes.
Now,
And see if the park board would be willing to support that, and possibly
Oh, I'm sure they
we
would.
could have, if we had it county-wide,
It should be
that we-
countywide.
that we could maybe do something for the other parks.
I don't think anyone questions that we need parks in the county. It's just the idea that we can't afford to hit the current expense.
Yeah.
If it were countywide, then could a portion go to like the Cornell Park?
Sure.
They already have a levy, don't they, for the park?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
But we could do a little promotion on that. But let's send the letter.
Let's get the
and-
park board's approval first.
If you do a maintenance
Yeah.
levy, I mean, you're talking kind of two separate ones. A maintenance levy, you can do it up to 3 years, like the school districts do, 2 to 3 years.
We need to bring that to the park board first.
Because I think you'd want, if you're going to do one, you want it. So,
Multiple years.
And it needs its
Yeah.
own source of funding, absolutely, away
Yeah.
from our county budget.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Well,
Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner, you're just about on time, yeah?
Yeah, we're just changing. You might look at.
How many hundreds of thousands of dollars you bringing in?
Thousands? So this,
That's the report through July. Oh, wow, most prepared shipments. Birthday cake.
Have some,
Thank you.
because I don't want Frank to eat it all.
You don't want Frank to eat it?
Yeah, he'll just be eating that whole thing if you're not careful.
absolutely.
Now, have we got our advertisement in those RV?
They are going through the RV, yes. The FMC, the Travel Life has been submitted and will be in the 2005 big Bibles.
How many do we have out there permanent now, Rich?
I've got 10 out there right now.
Permanent.
Permanents.
There were 12 in the other day, but 10 of those were permanent.
Yeah, and 2 of them are overnighters.
Yeah,
Could you just flatten their tires and make them stay?
Yeah, I wish I could, but I think they
Think they get suspicious?
Get suspicious at. But we have an average of 2 or 3 people coming through a day, just looking at it, picking up information. Some have said, "Well, I'm over at Sandy Heights, and I'll take a look at it." As I was mentioning to Fred, that Sandy Heights, they've changed managers down there. Jack Sanders is no longer there.
Yeah.
And the word that I'm getting back is that they're a little bit more difficult to work with. They've raised some rates, done some things there at Sandy Heights that aren't customer service friendly. So we had 3 gentlemen that work out at Hanford, all brothers. They moved out there a little over a week ago. So, and then they've got some more friends that are over there at the RV park that are looking at coming over.
In yours,
Yeah.
you know.
So, as the report shows here, that we are up 11,390 from January through July. So we do have a profit there.
Have we paid all of our taxes?
As far as I know, Becky has been
Hotel,
paying.
motel
Yeah.
taxes?
Becky's been paying those right along every month, so she has been doing that. That's the 1531 that we've been paying. It was an effort part of the year. The budget that I submitted for 2005, it looks like we're about $27,000 profit with which includes the $36,000 maintenance or the agreement with TRAC to do the management fee. And one of the things that I talked to Fred earlier, I got the information on the cell towers. And so I included that in the budget for next year, it looks like.
That cell tower, is that part of the $27,000 profit? So you're really not estimating too much usage.
You're looking at the push.
I'm looking at, I've estimated conservatively to where there is a profit based on this year's usage.
We're going to get more usage.
And we're going to get more usage.
This year's usage, I don't think is indicative of anything, because knowing that thing is there is going to make a tremendous difference. The advertisement that we're there and providing a service, most things I say you can do that. On an RV park here, I don't think we can. We've just got to get more, and not based on what we've done in the past.
Right. But I did base next year's budget a little bit off of next year with some increase for some rally groups coming in. I've got one coming in October over a weekend with about 15 couples coming in with their RVs, and they come in 2 or 3 times a year. And there's another gentleman over in Kennewick that is looking to bring in his RV group in.
Now, the soccer tournaments, are they starting up?
There's only one left, and that's this year. That is an
Oh, I thought, no, isn't there?
At least what Teresa has told me that
The tournaments, but not the games. You're probably just thinking of the soccer games.
games.
So the tournaments are the people from out of town.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
but-
games are
well, the
from out
games
of town also.
but we're not getting any RVs from those?
Not very much, no.
Because I saw RVs, when my grandma.
When they allow the RVs to be over there for nothing, the people are going to stay there for nothing, because most of those RVs are self-contained, and they can come in, park for nothing, and then depart rather than come over in the park.
But they can park in the city parking lot there, right there at the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is hard to overcome.
And then the reservation system, we've got that up and going. It's a personal contact through our website or through Track Online, but basically Franklin County RV Park, and there is a website now, and then a linkage to my email address if they want to come in and do with a reservation. And then road signage, we're continuing on that saga. I've finally got contact again with Ed Berry. He is going to be in town tomorrow, and he's with the state DOT. And we'll be meeting on getting the road signage out on the freeway. The one thing that in the conversation that he told me today, and again, it's like pulling teeth from DOT to get what the requirements is, we have to have a sign out on Road 68 and Rodeo Drive. So I've got to go talk to Tim and see what we can do about getting a sign up there. And he said that it really doesn't have to, and as far as he's concerned, any specifications, but they do have to have a sign, or we do have to have a sign out on Road 68 before they will proceed with the freeway signage. So I'll talk to Tim.
I wonder if it wouldn't be better to have them go down Burden and around towards the back, because coming into the hotel area and all of that, wouldn't it be better to direct them down Burden?
I would
These,
take the one.
It's right in, see? It's
That-
right in, and no traffic coming in on Rodeo Drive.
it's right in there, and when you take a right on Burden, because Road 68 angles a little bit to the west, you might say it's more than a 90-degree turn. With some of those RVs, that makes a pretty wide turn. And Ed Berry's conversation, he says the most direct route is the one that they're looking at. And the most direct is Rodeo Drive.
Yeah, but when you get that restaurant in there and you get that, I just think it's going to be too much congestion.
Well, we don't have that. We can adjust it if it runs into a problem.
And,
Let's hope it does become a problem.
yeah.
God, yes, I would hope it'd be a problem.
There is a problem if you happen to go down Burden Boulevard and take a right on Home Run Road where it goes north and south. That is a very tight turn. The turning radius isn't there for the fifth wheel trailers. And I've talked to the city about that, and they says if the county wants to spend the money to broaden and widen that entrance off of Burden onto Home Run Road, then
Down the road, we may have to do that. Down the road, we may have to do that. If that is a problem, we may have to look at that.
I took my horse trailer, and it's 32-foot crank goes the size of it, and I've got to really swing out wide to be able to hit that road going down Home Run Road without running over the curb. It's with that narrow island that they put in down Home Run.
That's when you're coming off Burden.
Mm-hmm. But the signage right now, there is signage coming off Burden at Convention Place, which runs down to the Life Club. Yeah, down to Home Run and goes in that way. But I would maybe talk to Tim and see what the requirements are from the county and get that approval. There's got to be a letter of approval from the county that there is approval to put a sign on Road 68 and Rodeo Drive.
We'll have to get approval from the city to get Road 68.
Is it the city or the county I need to get?
That's city.
That's city. We'll have to get the city approval on
For signage.
68,
For
yeah.
signage, yeah.
We need to get that in process. We can approve Home or Rodeo Drive, but the other one is city.
No, city of Rodeo Drive is city
That's
also.
city. Okay.
We turned it all over to city.
That road is all city there too now.
Everything was turned over to city.
Okay, even though it's, I realize I remember now that we did, and but we were going to have to do something on the specs on those things too.
I convinced them that it would be best interest to both if
They're not going to require us to go ahead and bring that to city standard now.
The only time that city standard will be required is if the developer comes in and develops. When we develop the parking lots, then we have to improve it to city standards at that time. So the cost would be to the developers for those.
The same thing they're requiring up there with those apartments. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we'd better get that in action, both of those to the city.
I'll follow up on that. That just was a requirement that Ed Berry told me about this morning, that before they can proceed.
So the sooner we get it to the city, it takes their planning department a while to function there.
It takes a while to get signage from the city, so I'll follow up on that today and get that started.
Sounds good.
Well, won't our sign department do the sign?
Yeah, we can have our sign people
Yeah.
do it.
But they
The
just have to
permits
approve it.
from the
Yeah,
city.
that's the permits that we need to get, and for the signage to meet their permitting. That's all I've got. Any other questions?
Well, is there an individual that is taking reservation after hours?
There's, we have a park host that is in there now that her and her husband are taking questions and registering folks.
Is that
Are they
the
identifiable,
complaint
easily
that I had?
identifiable?
Yeah.
That's that RV
Tyrell's,
just north of the
right.
building there.
That was a complaint that I had,
Yeah,
that there wasn't an individual to talk to.
and early on that, looking at the process, as we went through it, we weren't going to put one in there and then the city is requiring us to. They like to see somebody in there. It's one of their requirements or
Yeah, that was one of the requirements.
And that's good that we
Yeah.
have that.
And they weren't available until mid-August because they'd already made commitments to be park hosts during the course of early summer throughout the state of Oregon, so they are in there now.
Well, that's good, and they have a little bit of experience too.
Right. They are experienced at it. So.
Well, just to let you know how the arrangement, we're working up a contract. It'd be a contract employee, just like Bob Cook is. So we're not dealing with insurance, benefits, any of that stuff.
And Bob is a contract employee.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
What are you laughing at?
At will.
Will?
At will.
Oh, well. Oh.
Come on, Ray.
You guys, you're not good Americans. I'm a very good American.
Not. I'm telling you.
And I'll be gracious if I'm defeated, but you better watch your back. I'm so mean.
Okay, last week I ran over, so this week I'm completely on time. We're a little quicker. Event update this past week we did the Pasco new teachers training. 260 people came in. And
That was a pretty good turnout.
had lunch, and they were very, very pleased, and we were very, very pleased too. We had a wedding rehearsal dinner for 66 people in the AmeriSuites Friday night. That went very well. The Education Service District meeting, another teachers group came in, and we had 70 people for that. That went well. And Far West Fertilizer group came in for training yesterday, actually the last 2 days, and they're very pleased. They went for a meeting over to another property in the Tri-Cities and quickly came back realizing that their level of service and the fact that we cared meant a whole lot more to them than price sometimes.
Is the hotel getting the business that they would have expected or hoped for?
You know, you'd have to ask VJ that question. I know that so far, since they've opened, we've been as busy as we anticipated we would be. We didn't have any business from January to mid-May that we had expected in our budget because they didn't open in time. So it's met our expectations since opening.
Yeah.
But for the year, it hasn't. And I would probably guess he would say the same thing.
Well, but from the time it's open, because I count the cars in there almost every day, just out of curiosity when I go by, I look over to see them. And the weekends are really busy, but it appears.
Yes, the weekends have been busy, especially when we've been up and operating with bigger events. And now in the summer, and here in August, when we don't have them, we don't have. Had he opened last year, he probably would have been fairly satisfied with it because we had a number of events in August that aligned. They came in and because of their rotations have moved elsewhere. But we fully expect those to rotate back in, and at some point he's going to see that, and we're going to keep working on developing these meetings, especially Far West and teachers.
Well, it's sure a beautiful facility. I think it's
Inside, it's marvelous, I think.
Breakfast is really good there.
He's really pleased with that.
Did I hear correctly that there's only one weekend left this year or is it in December for a track that's open for anybody to book into?
Well, it depends on which facility you're talking about, but we are right there.
Okay.
We signed, and I'll get into that. We just sent out a contract for another one in October that takes the place of the one that I mentioned, the fact that Noe indicated we had originally budgeted because we sent him a contract after he asked for it, if he didn't come in. So, and that's indicated on this revenue stream here. But yet today, we sent out another contract to another promoter for a date in October, and that's pretty much from our keeping us pretty busy all the way through. But the arena side would have some opportunities. Okay.
Do you think we'll lose the Garden Show to the Coliseum? I mean, to the new convention center?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a number of reasons why not.
Well, I think they like the arena to be able to dig down.
Well, yeah, they would, but as Fred remarked to me, and I think even to them, they're very much aware that their costs have gone a lot up quite drastically for their business, and they can expect that they go up for all businesses,
That's right.
So,
You know, everybody in this market is,
Oh, I guess I wasn't even
Yeah.
thinking about that.
Oh,
I was just thinking about
just the fact that they would move and
that they
rotate.
would move, not anything related to your meeting. I didn't
Oh,
I didn't
yeah,
think
you
about
haven't
that.
even,
Yeah.
Because
No,
I haven't
We don't even
been
talk
briefed
about
on
that.
that. I don't even know what's going on, but
that
I
is,
just thought maybe because it's a new fancy place that they might want to go over there.
they would have to change their events significantly if they were to move into any other
'cause
facilities
I don't think
in the
they're going to get to
Tri-Cities.
dig the ground up in the Coliseum. To,
Well, not only that, but just the space in any other facilities. There just is, we are the largest space, and we happen to have two side by side, essentially under one roof. And no one else can say that.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint alone,
See, and
indicates that we would be the premier facility for one of the bigger events in the community. Now, but they're also doing it to make some money too.
Yeah.
And I think there would be a significant,
increase.
well, I think there would be a significant outcry for people not getting the type of event that they're able
Yeah.
to produce at track. With that said, they are doing it to make money, and we need to be very cognizant of that.
Okay, I'm sorry to get off the subject.
No, that's fine. You know, there are other events out there that,
I look forward to that event.
yeah, it's
I
such a
like
nice
that
event. What was, did they say that's their 11th year or something out there?
something like that. yeah.
But on the pricing, I think we as a board, regardless of what our prices are, we need to be apprised of it so we know, because if people aren't happy with the pricing of track, they'll come to you, then they'll come back to us, and we really don't understand our pricing structure, and we need to understand it here, and from year to year, we need to know where we are the next year. So we need to develop some system that we're a little better aware of. And I'm not trying to criticize you or anybody else. I'm just saying we need to be aware, because people always come back to us, and I always say, hey, go out and talk to them at track. But I still feel we should do that. But I still feel we should know.
You need to.
Yeah. And I don't want to get into the pricing with somebody. But if they have a problem that they don't feel that the price is justified, then we have to meet with them,
I
whether
think-
we do anything or not.
I think they are. I wouldn't say they're appeased or satisfied, but I think the knowledge that the changes in electrical, in power costs have been so tremendous too. I think made a lot of difference to them.
Over the last couple of years, with it 45%, that's
Yeah.
significant.
But
Especially
we need to be able to sit down and point this out to people so that they understand. It's just a game of politics with the people coming out there. And if they've got to raise one year that's 20%, we spread it over 2 years, maybe they'd hit every year with something, so that the big raise isn't.
Yeah. Well, again, your point's well taken, that you refer them back out, because if they come back to us and say, this is too much, we can't afford that, then we'll take a look at it again and see where we might be able to meet within their budget. We've got a lot of flexibility out there, and we certainly would welcome that. But what happens is that if they get something, it's, oh my God, we got to go talk to the commissioners, rather than come back
Let's
to
go
the
see,
building and
yeah.
say, hey guys, it didn't work out. And that seems,
And that's typical always
Seems to be the
in all
way
of
it
the
goes.
things.
But we just need to be apprised of it and involved in it as far as setting the rates there, because I don't want to have to deal with the people. When they come to me for raise, I always.
well, that's a natural reaction that's going to happen. We will, part of the issue is the timing.
Is it activated?
People are coming to us now for their rates for next year, or earlier actually in the summer for rates for next year. We haven't even started our process for budgeting at that point, when they're asking what it's going to be for next year. The other point is, we haven't even finished this year yet. We don't know how we're going to finish this year, let alone what we're going to end up doing next year.
But I
So
think
that's part of the issues that we're dealing
I
with.
think in this business, in any business, you've got to build in the inflation. If we don't build inflation in, we're going to go behind. Without question, we can't stay the same exactly every year. We have to adjust something, because everything goes up out there. Wages go up, expenses go
It
up.
does. The supply, especially the supplies and utilities the last few years. salaries have been pretty consistent. You can justify, you can plan on that, but those supplies and the utilities is what's really.
And we can't always eat up the increased costs with new events, you know. It'll help some, but
Because
anyhow, I just wanted to toss it out because we do need to be involved.
Next thing on the agenda, this week's is ski club. We've got coming in Thursday. She didn't put in Takaha like we thought she was going to put in tonight. We got Takaha tonight, ski club tomorrow night, and there's actually a high school football meeting that she didn't put in. So we've got 3 events in that room over the next 2 days.
But this cat show is a big event.
Actually, it's not.
Is that not?
It's not a large event at all.
It's not going to get much attendance, but
No, it doesn't get much
I might
attendance.
go out to it. I like
I know,
kids.
and
Outside
I
neighbors,
sneeze
too.
when I go into those. I love to look at those cats.
oh god,
And then
Well,
the
you should put your 3 out there.
yeah, I do. Mine aren't quite ready to be shown
Not ready
yet.
for trained for showing yet.
we have the rehearsal dinner on the 3rd, and then we've got 2 weddings on the 4th. One in Expo, one in the outside and going into the atrium, and the other is over in the Amera Suites. And then the next thing on the agenda is a revenue update. We've indicated that we'll keep you appraised where we are on a revenue standpoint. Our expenditures, as Becky indicated, and we indicated last week, are within what we had anticipated. And when you go down to the bottom right corner, it'll tell you that $33,903 is to the good on the revenue side at this point.
Above what you
What we have
actually
projected. Yeah.
And
That's good.
if Becky makes this any smaller, she's going to have to send a spyglass down with her.
What we can start doing is
Okay.
knocking off the top part. We've already seen it. You're already up to date as far as where we are. So you probably don't need every month to see that Russ Dean, we were 1,625 above what we anticipated on that. So I think at the end of
Were
the
they
year-
happy the last shot there?
Yeah, they did better than they did the last time. And they're
God,
coming
that's-
back here in a couple of weeks.
That's great. You know, that really amazes me, but I think it's great.
And it works out well for everybody.
You're not kidding.
So anyway, we're online with that. I mentioned the fact that they're in the September. There's a NOE for 16-7. He is not coming in this weekend as we sent him the contract. However, we do have a replacement online in October, so that revenue stream should be fine.
It just won't be in
Won't be in
September.
the
It'll be in
September.
October.
It'll come back in October. We've got $14,000 in contracts that are pending right now that Maureen's just putting together, that they will be sent out in the contract form. Ned mentioned that yesterday.
What's the Lewis Clark Trader?
That's a gun show. They're gun and antique show. And
I better go there.
ice is going on we'll be starting to throw water on it probably Thursday or Friday. It's ready
Are you
to
saying
go.
throw water?
We're chilling the building down right now.
Okay, and you're going to start putting the water on the freeze
This
then?
weekend. That's normal. That's what we've been doing.
Oh, we're going to have a Greek festival?
Yes, we are. That's a new event. And let's see. Titans paid up.
Great.
They're all
great.
paid as we
Good.
anticipated. And
When is the grape festival here? I don't.
the Greek festival
Greek.
Oh, Greek. I thought you were saying
November.
In November.
in November. It's an ethnic festival. Another new event we're bringing in.
About 6,000.
Five.
It's something that we think is really going to grow through the years.
I bet you it'll grow.
The first year, again, that's our first take on it. We'll see how they advertise. A lot of how we will do this line will do is going to be based on how they advertise.
See, that's what I was asked about. Why doesn't TRAC do more advertising on the events? And, I don't know why I didn't say it's up to the promoter or the person putting the
promoter,
event
yeah.
on it.
We can't
don't-
promote.
We
couldn't
don't
get-
promote the events.
No, we can't.
You know, I said grape festival too, and I just got to thinking, does the Red Lion have that wine festival where they have the wine tasting there?
They haven't done that in the past.
They have?
Oh, yeah. The old event, Bloom and Blush, and that's gone.
Kind of went away.
That's gone.
That's gone.
Oh, that's too bad. That was a nice.
But with the hotel there, that wine tasting deal,
We were looking at doing something like that in May.
but we had a conflict, so we weren't able to get that one in. Again, we're pretty much, there are times when we are solidly booked with historical and long-term. In this particular situation, it was a Sports Hall of Fame event, which is pretty important to us from a long-term perspective. If it wasn't something that already had a home and track, we might have looked at that and gone with something different.
Is that the only time frame that would work in?
That was the only time that was given to us.
You know, Ray, Neva just made a comment about advertisement, and it just struck me. I wondered, on that public television, I wonder what it would, maybe it would or wouldn't work, but if we just said track activities, and we give like
For
a month
information.
worth of activities, or maybe a couple weeks out or something, that, you know, I mean, would that even be worth looking into?
Without promoting an individual
Not,
event?
yeah, not.
It'd just be
I think we can-
informational.
Tracks activities and.
Might be something we can follow up on.
We might check the pricing on that and see what.
That's
shouldn't
no
be any
price,
price.
I don't think. That's public television, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's a
Public
public
television has
access.
a cost.
It's a public access.
But you know, it might help us too.
A little
Because,
bit.
you know, I mean, if people are watching the public television, say, oh, well, that's happening now.
Well, sometimes they go to that for different events, because, you know, they'll have stuff that the city's doing on there.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Just,
Yeah, we'll follow up on that. Okay, and that's really what I have right now. Those are all the notes that I made. Any questions? We're on time.
Sounds good, Ray. Just keep on the
Ray.
plus side.
We are, and I don't see any reason why we should change. I think it's just going to add on, based again on all of these events, which are contracted or done. So we just could keep
Now,
building on those.
is this Conover Insurance, is that?
Holiday
gonna be-
party.
Huh?
Holiday party.
Holiday party?
Yes.
We should be invited.
Well,
Part of it.
As much money as we paid.
Darn right. Maybe we just forego our awards banquet and whole county will. Thanks, Ray.
And the Lords is the same thing? Huh.
Most everything in December.
Battelle, we've got Battelle and, huh.
Are there more holiday parties this year so far?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And we'll have more in the future. It's just getting going.
Yeah.
And building that up.
Oh, how is our ATM machine doing? Is that,
At this point, we haven't had any significant events that's going to draw people in looking for cash. But that's going to start changing.
Have to have a casino night.
Now in September.
yeah, we need a casino night. Oh.
Thanks, Ray.
You don't need a CC to be passed.
no.
Why on this deal, why 36,000?
The other was based on projection.
I know it, but
Well,
I guess what I'm saying, why couldn't we have that as a profit and then pay for that with that money for our subsidy? But I guess,
well, TRAC's putting that in their budget also as a management fee for the RV park. So we're showing it as an expenditure, but they're
but do
showing
you
it
think
as a
that
profit.
there's that much, do you think that management fee is a little high?
Well,
Weren't we going to hire somebody to manage that with that 36,000?
well,
What's
the whole intent
I know,
was
but-
is that we were going to move Rich half of his
Split
salary
his
out,
salary.
out to the RV park and keep him on the horse side. And by the time we split salaries and benefits, it came out to around 36,000, and that's probably high. You know, I mean, I don't think
that's
he's
what it
making
seems.
72,000 with salaries and benefits.
Well, I
I'd
thought-
have to look into that, but we just split
I
it.
think it's a little bit high.
I thought when we were talking about problems, financial problems out there, we talked about that 36,000 and said we're not going to do it.
We're not going to pay it this year, are we?
We'll pay as much of it as we can, whatever.
Well, I think we're
profit.
obligated.
We're going to pay it one way or another.
Yeah, we're going to pay on one side or the other.
Yeah, because if we don't give them the profits of it, then we're going to pick it up in subsidies anyway. So
Well,
whatever.
that's what I mean, but we won't be able to use that as a subsidy payment, will we?
Because it'll be
It'll
going
go
into
for
the
that actual
salary.
salary.
Well, yes, what you're saying is right, but if we don't pay it, then we're going to pay it anyway.
Well, I
in
know,
subsidy.
but I'd like it to be shown as a subsidy, and then we wouldn't have to pay so much out of our current expense.
What you're saying is the city's gonna have to pay a portion.
No.
Well, that would be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the RV park?
No.
Oh, I see what you
Then,
mean.
you know, if we were going to do that, then
If we
what
cut
we
back,
need
if
to
we
do-
cut back on what we charge or pay the RV park for subsidization, then that's gonna go back in the budget, and the city has to
Well,
pick up any deficiency.
to do that, and it can be done, it's just that TRAC will no longer do the management of the RV park. The RV park will basically be done by Franklin County. So, you know, I mean, if TRAC's managing it, then TRAC has to receive funds for that.
We don't argue that, Fred.
Yeah.
It's just the amount. It's just the amount. We're just talking about the amount for this year, because I don't think we can have it any other way than the way we have it right now to make it function right. Because we got the lap over in the lap.
Well, what did you say?
The lap over on personnel.
Okay. I
You
don't think
got-
that's what you said. But
I said the lap over and the lap over.
Okay. It was like, okay, I'm not trying to tease you here, but I didn't quite.
You're trying to give me a hard
I
time.
am. Charlie Sally sells seashells.
Well, you know, I've pretty well made it pretty clear that if the profits aren't there for that 36, then don't expect it. You know, we can only pay it if they're making it. You know. Okay.
Well, again, on that thing, we can't really do that. We can do the first year, we can hedge on it. The second year, we can't do that.
Well, second year we better have made it.
That's what I'm saying. The second year, it has to be there. We can still go back this year and say, hey, there wasn't that much because we didn't have that thing operating.
That's the letter to the
Core?
Yes. I just changed the wording a little bit.
We've already approved sending this letter. So
I know, but I changed it because I changed it to where we're seeking possible 3-year levy to support the park, and we keep them apprised of any change to
And
that.
see, when does the park board meet?
Because the last letter, we were
Not this
negotiating
month.
with the city, but we're not now. I'm sorry.
Park board doesn't meet in August, does it? So it wouldn't have met, so it would be the end of September.
I move for
Unless we
approval
call
of sending
meeting.
the letter to the port, or excuse me, to the Corps of Engineers regarding our, taking our option to relinquish our lease.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thought we had an antivirus software already.
We do, but we have to update it. We can't keep up with that. I make comments that I think McAfee is the one that's creating these new bugs so they can support
Is it,
purchasing a new.
do we have money in the
Kind of
IS budget?
Yes, he's taking that out of 2 different lines under maintenance and website development.
But it should automatically be budgeted in there because this is something they know ahead of time.
It was thrown at me this morning. I haven't even had a chance to talk to Kevin about it, but I agree with what you're saying. It should be in the budget.
Oh, yeah, it should be in the budget when we start out. You know, it's not something we should have to look at and say, hey, we're going to have to
Yeah.
switch this because they know when these things are going to have to be replaced.
I move approval.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Then you'll talk to him about the budget meeting.
Yeah. Neva, we're going to have to come back and have you sign this later today, possibly. Steve Lowe has not signed this agreement. He's aware of it, and he's going to look it over and sign it, but until we'll just pass the
Well, no, I've got a
resolution.
meeting.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
do it tomorrow, too, today or tomorrow, or whenever.
Now is that on the antivirus, or are you going to the?
Yes, it's the antivirus.
$3.95 or was it?
$3.95.
And this is the agreement here. So that's going to be part of the resolution.
make the motion.
I thought we made it.
Did we?
Yeah,
On the virus, yeah.
yeah. Where's the Washington State Fairs Convention held at?
It's going to be in Bellevue.
Bellevue.
Well, do we only have one copy? Mary, maybe you better make copies. Or all three. In the signature page.
Oh, Fred, if you go to this, you have to bring your beach attire
Beach attire.
for the costume contest on Friday night.
I'm not much of a costume kind of guy.
And you'll have to enter the scrapbook contest, the
you're
poster
not, you-
contest,
you
the
did a-
T-shirt and hat contest.
You did approve that request for the dinner we're having in December for the employees. Hawaiian get-up.
Oh,
So you might
that's
as well
right.
get your Hawaiian hat early.
You know, I'm only one of many.
What's the X-ray machine?
Okay, you know the X-ray machine that we got from the federal building? I was over at the Juvenile Justice Center yesterday, and they were saying that they wanted to get an X-ray machine and put it in for when they have the higher profile cases there, because they have quite a bunch of different knives and things that come through the door. And I said, well, you know, we have an X-ray machine that we're not using. And I don't see us using that thing anytime soon. I said, I'll talk to the board and see if they let you have that machine.
I wouldn't give it to them. I'd let them use it.
Yeah, just in case we ever need it back.
Because we just moved it down to the port.
Now, is there, when we do this, would there be any reason we would want to use this on a short notice basis?
I don't know.
Well, there's always a chance. But
No,
can it
what I
not be
say is
easily
we-
moved? I mean, say
No,
we-
it's not easily moved. That thing
Oh.
weighs tons.
Well, if we had a top-notch, murder case or something.
If we run into
would
something that we
know.
do need it on a short-term basis, we might be sorry we did this.
But wouldn't it be just as hard to move it from down there up to us on a short-term basis?
Probably. Well, we'd have to move it from the port out here.
That's what I
to
mean.
the
Yeah, the
same
port
thing.
down there. Yeah,
And-
so
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking it'd be cleaned up and oiled and or whatever they do with X-ray machines, if it were being used by the.
I don't even know. Well, I know we don't have anybody that knows how to even use it. We just have it.
Well, if we had a
What
short-term
did we get it
emergency.
initially, Fred? from?
Federal building.
We got it in the federal building.
Yeah.
That goes with those.
Federal marshal's
these
office
go
gave
with
it to
those.
us
I'm
because
sorry.
they were getting new stuff through that Homeland Security grant money. And they said this is a fairly new machine, so they just gave it to Franklin County, and we've had it sitting in storage.
I would just
2
suggest
years.
it'd be safer over there at Juvenile than it is sitting out there. I don't know how dusty it is, but it is.
It just got moved to the port yesterday, so it's pretty. It's not. It's just an old building, you know.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking.
Just for discussion on this, if we were ever to plan on using this machine, we had it up and only use it on special occasions. Can you do that? So you have it in position so that you get a high profile case. It's not a question of having to move it. You just utilize it.
Well, I don't know where we would put it,
Well, I would think in the public safety building entrance.
and just leave it there.
Yeah,
Just
and
leave
then
it there and
when we
only
need it
use
for
it.
a high-profile case,
It is there.
it's
It
there.
might also
and-
deter some people from some people from coming in with something they shouldn't have. They're going to say, "Well, I never know when they're going to run that X-ray."
And we just ran
And
it.
you know, we could do that. We could do that
You could
randomly.
periodically. You could periodically run that just
Or
so nobody
even
knew.
have J&J do that.
Okay, so you're saying no to juvenile and
Probably not.
to move it over into the public safety building and set it up.
Well, I think it might be to our advantage to have it
Well,
over
you
here.
know, and then if we have a real, excuse me for interrupting, but if we have a real high-profile case, we can close
ready.
off the
Absolutely, yeah.
the courthouse entrance and put a big sign out. Public safety entrance today only or something.
Yeah. Well, didn't they have that? Or do we? We've had an X-ray machine down there. Some sort of a checking machine down there at the back doors that go out to the jail.
We had it one time. Remember that time we had that crisis here and we were all
Okay.
out of town?
Well, no, I went back there one time when it was being run, people were going
Okay.
through it. So I wasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of like a doorway.
Yes. So it isn't so bulky that you couldn't leave it there all the time and have to worry that, no, this is really inconveniencing people.
You could have it set in such a way so that people wouldn't pass through it regularly, and then
Yeah, it's on wheels. It's
Yeah,
just,
and then-
you
Yeah,
can't
so you
have
just
it
roll
move.
it back
and
against the
funnel
wall.
it, and then funnel them through there on days where you really felt you had to have high security.
Okay.
Good idea.
All right. Number 3, yesterday I met with all of the people involved with the public safety building, the courts, PA's office, the clerk's office, and talked to them about J&J Security. They felt as a group that we could cut them back almost to half time, bring them in Monday, Tuesday, and part of Thursday afternoon, and then use them on an on-call basis. So with that, we could save ourselves about $25,000 a year. So with that, they said that if we wanted to cut them off, then October 1st would be a time that they can get ready, prepared for it, so they have through September. And so with the board's approval, I want to talk with Joe Monday and tell him that we're going to cut him back to...
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Good
So
news.
you didn't really talk to Joe Monday, you talked to the group of guys or people that
Yeah.
work for him?
Because he didn't want to have a
Yeah.
when we did something without their approval or.
Well, and then we
Their
might not
discussion.
know, they might have divulged something that we weren't aware of and said, we better have them even more.
No, they were very, very good, very helpful. So. Washington State Fair Conference. The applications came in to attend that. I put 4 rooms aside, or I asked them, I'm assuming they did. We're going to have the meeting on the 14th with all the service clubs and the 4-H groups, find out who is interested in it.
14th of what?
September. I talked with the city yesterday, or the other day when I was talking to him about Chihuahua Park, and kind of the dilemma that I'm having is, you say you want a budget, but it's kind of hard to put a budget together if we don't know what kind of activities we're going to have, and without having a group of people that are volunteers, to
But
say,
after-
well, these are what our activities are
But
going to
after
be.
the 14th, won't you have a better idea?
We probably would, but at that point, I think what needs to be done, and I think what needs to be done is that you need to get an advisory board put together. Grand Old Fort, promotions board
Well,
similar
then
to the.
I think Whitebush should do that.
Well, actually, Gary's suggestion was, because I was telling him the same thing, and he says, well, you know what, when the service people get there, and, on the 14th, whoever's willing to volunteer at that time, just grab whoever.
Yeah, well, that's
is
fine.
what they were saying.
But,
Fine.
and I don't disagree, but I was thinking our main purpose of having that meeting the 14th is, number one, to find out if there is sufficient interest to go forward with this. And then if there is, then we can make some plans based on that. If we do it ahead of time, we're not getting the input that we'd hope would kind of support what we do.
Okay, so you're going to have 4-H clubs, so we are going to go ahead with a stock show? Is that what we're leaning
I don't
towards?
know what we're going to do. I explained to Ray the process that we had gone through when we went to that CPO training in Moses Lake, where Mr. Brock became Johnny, the class irritant, I guess.
I didn't go to that.
Oh, you didn't?
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah,
Why
you
not?
did. You
They were
and
both
I
there.
rode
Why
up
were you
together.
the
and we
class
had-
irritant? Oh, you mean when the lady was irritated with him? Because,
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. But,
I see. I thought he was assigned to
She
be.
was?
I thought he was assigned
She
to be
shouldn't
the
have been.
class
She's a
irritant.
very narrow-minded lady.
Why, what did he do? I don't remember.
Well,
You
he
were there.
questioned
We all
some
went
things.
there.
Yeah, he questioned some things with probably good reason.
He became little Johnny in the classroom, is what he did. So, but anyway, I think
I
that whole
remember that.
process was a good way to start the process on this Grand Old Fourth thing. But you're right, Frank. We want to have it on the 14th to find out what kind of input we have. But from what we're hearing from everybody, they're all thinking this is a great thing to do.
Except people up in the north part of the county who are telling me that you are not only going to hurt the livestock show up there, but you're going to kill the one here at the fair. Because they said it's not finances so much as people don't have a week in August and a week in July to spend at a livestock show.
If they don't want to participate, then, they don't have to. We send it off we just sent it off to the 4-H groups. To find out who would be in it. We ended up sending over 50 letters out. We also, I came in yesterday and I said, well, we need to send one out to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce too, because we didn't.
Yeah, they're so
overlook that.
remarkable.
Well, at least we can invite them.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and they might really work with us too on that, because aren't they pretty involved or interested in being involved in the one in the park? The Hispanic Chamber, I think they are.
I don't know. But I thought, in
think
all
they feel they're
fairness,
shut out
we should
sometimes
have
by ours.
ask them to come in too.
Oh, I do too.
September 14th is when the meeting's going to happen, and I don't know who's going to be heading to this Bellevue convention at that time. But we do have the CTED money that we can use. It's about $6,000. We pay for it up front, and they reimburse us back for these types of activities, which would be the IFI conference also.
I move to approve.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Now, can we come to that meeting too, or are we supposed to stay away?
But, oh no,
The
it's
September
open for
14th.
everybody. It's just, it's open for everybody. I don't know if I feel as if I really.
You know that's
explained-
voting day, don't you? Would that make any difference to anybody?
What?
I think most of us
No,
are.
it's not.
September 14th? Most of us, though, vote by mail.
Oh, this is meeting here, you're
Yeah,
saying?
this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, September 14th at 3:00.
I don't
But that's
think
not
that would
terribly
make that
important.
much difference. I don't think it'd make much difference because most of us. My God. I'm going to find somebody to run against you the next time. I don't care if I have to hire him. Anyway, I don't think that'd make a difference. Most of us vote by mail, and those who don't can go in, as they usually do in the evening, for a chance to visit with their neighbors.
Well, don't they have a place to vote on a track now too?
Yeah.
So
Would
maybe you
that
can come in and vote
impact?
there.
Oh, yeah, they could do, so to speak, kill two birds with one stone.
Okay, David Carnivals. I met with, actually, I didn't really meet with him. I just spent a lot of time talking to him on the phone because we couldn't get tied up together during the fair. But they are very interested in coming over to the Granville Court and setting up. And I asked them basically how that all worked because I couldn't really remember if it was going to cost the county money up front. And if
They
it's-
pay the Benton County Fair, paid $100,000 at one time to come in here.
Yeah. And what it is they come in. They're going to take a gamble just like everybody else in it, and they'll move their carnival equipment in there and set it up probably on a Friday. They can go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday, even though maybe our event won't kick off until Saturday or something, just kind of get
they
things
can keep
started. And then initially, our brief discussions on contracts is that they set levels of revenues that come in, and once they hit, say, a $50,000 revenue, then percentages start coming back to the event. And as they climb dollar amounts, the higher percentages would come back to us. So with the first year, we haven't sat down and really talked contracts other than those discussions, but I just wanted to let you know that there's no risk to the county to have them move in. It's just, we may or may
will
not.
bring in people. We'll bring in kids.
Oh, it will bring in a lot of families.
You bet.
Because you bet they set them up, those little rinky-dink carnivals and those fellow, and they're just flocked with.
This is right.
So
Well, will they pay us to come in, or are they just going to pay, or has that gotten to that kind of a discussion?
they will pay us once they receive a certain amount of profit.
Oh,
Then that money starts coming
I
back
see.
to us. Say, if they come in and they only make $50,000, then they just come in and they make their $50,000 and move on.
Yeah.
He said it costs about $30,000 to move all the equipment, do all the setup and everything, and I don't know.
Now, is there any other? Well, there's got to be those little rinky-dinks that come to Othello because they're not Davis Carnival.
Yeah, but you don't want
But
those.
we don't want them because they've broken down with people on them there.
Well, plus the fact insurance is hard to
yeah,
get
but I have curiosity. I know they're the best there is. Is there other big ones, or did that one? There was another one, and I think it sold out. think
No,
Davis is the only one.
there's a different one that's pretty big that goes to Spokane, and they had to get special insurance for that carnival. Now, Davis
Well, I'm not
is
questioning
no problem.
because I
Davis
prefer,
is no problem.
I prefer Davis anyway because I like the way.
And that's
people
what,
behave.
so they said, that's what they said. If you have fairs that have other than Davis carnivals at them, then you
Isn't
need to
that
talk
funny?
to Mike Croak.
Now,
for the
why couldn't
additional
those other carnivals bring themselves up to the same? That's too bad. But anyway, oh well.
They run a pretty good
Yeah, they do.
shop, I guess.
So there are a lot of PR with them too. They care. So
Okay.
So what are you just telling us about it? or-
Yeah, just for information to
Good.
kind of keep you
But
posted.
I'm
as
glad
what-
that
what's
they're
going on.
interested.
Yeah, I was pretty happy
If
about
they'd
that.
have said thumbs
They're
down on it, we might have
They're
been.
good, they're
a
big
little better.
time carnival,
Mhm.
and this is the kind of thing you want.
Yeah, they're excited about it.
And it's
He
going to be
went
a
out and he met with
hospitality
Ray.
tent.
He went out and met
For
with
us
Ray
three.
and visited the site, and so he knows what the site. So we're looking at putting him in that 6-acre parking lot, out by the freeway as much as possible, so they get as much recognition as we can.
And away from the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, I met with the juvenile center, I think it was yesterday morning, and went over the budgets. Our percentage went up 0.9, went from 26 to 26.9. We have quite a bit of population growth.
I thought it was supposed to stabilize.
It does. It does. If you go back and you look at the years past, we've been running anywhere from 26, 27, 26, 27. So we're at 26.9 on a 5-year average. And we won't have those 1-year fluctuations that we've had in the past. It'll all be a 5-year
This
average.
is based on a 5-year average.
This is based on a 5-year average.
We can't argue that too much.
Especially since we agreed to do it. But actually, we're right in there. I may have to go into executive session here to discuss salaries and benefits for the juvenile center and ours. I know it's really early to go into that, but they built their budget on a certain percentage increase.
They've
that
already
Benton County-
started their budget?
Oh yeah, it's already put together, and
Certain percentage of increase.
Are you
Yeah.
wanting?
yeah, I want to go into executive session. So we're going to bring Tiffany in and wish her a happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take a little break.
God, that's a beautiful cake.
It is. We shouldn't